It is 9 days into this winter transfer window. Well, Man United is at the heart of it. A lot of possibility you're doing is massive. What you're doing is massive. But there is a lot of talk concerning Marcus Rashford and a possible swap deal with Napoli for that man you see right there on the screen. I'm going to give you the details about it. Meanwhile, Man City and Man United might go toe-to-toe for a player Atalanta are being adamant about selling, especially in this January. What exactly is going on with Ederson and his impending move away from the Italian giants, I should say, or upcoming giants, let me call it that. Well, I've got to give you a bit of all these updates, but also clarify on a few important things that I do believe many people were sort of confused about, if you ask me. Concerning the situation with Man United. Now, I did pause on that I posted asking, which club do you think should Marcus Rashford be sold to? From Manchester United, you want to go to traditionally big clubs. West Ham is not a big club in any form and format. Not for the current, not traditionally. He would really be excited about such a move. So, but those are some of the reports that are coming through that Marcus Rashford is attracting interest. We told you before that several Premier League clubs were interested in him. Now, let's talk proper in terms of what's going on with the clubs that are seriously ones that he and Man United would consider letting him go to. So, you know that guy you see right there on your screen, the Napoli winger called Kvaratskhelia. He's got a very interesting name to pronounce. Yeah, he's called Kvaratskhelia. Now, he's a Georgian-born footballer at age 23. What a baller. He was the best player in the Italian Serie A. The season that Napoli won the title. Of course, there were debates about him and Victor Osimhen, who was better, who wasn't. But I think you can't. Osimhen had the goals. This guy had the game. So there is talks about him and the possibility of Man United going into a swap deal with Napoli for Kvaratskhelia to join Man United, and United adds them some bit of cash. Now, first of all, just to give you a background, what's happening now is that the agents or the representatives of Marcus Rashford are on a sort of a vending tour. I remember long time ago when we were at the heart of, I think in the summer, when we were looking for avenues to get money for Man United to sign players. I was saying one of the best solutions that United should do is to vend some of their players, because the players themselves are not that attractive. You've got to vend them. Now, the fact that the representatives of Marcus Rashford are the ones moving, not even Man United representatives, it's Marcus Rashford's team that is moving, try to look for a club that offers the best deal. It shows me that probably this move was instigated by his camp. He's the one who came out in the media and said, I'm ready for a new challenge. So meaning it's his burden now to look for a suitor. Of course, he will have his choices, but the deal must make sense for all parties. Now, what we know now is that his agents spoke to AC Milan, they spoke to Juventus, they're expected to speak to Borussia Dortmund. It is also expected that they will speak to Napoli. Now, I told you the details of what they could have discussed with AC Milan about a possibility of Milan wanting to meet half of his wages, get him for the rest of the season on loan with an option of buying, get him for the rest of the season, pay a half of his current wages, United pays the other half. That is what AC Milan could be contemplating doing. Now, of course, Napoli have got a lot of players who can make sense for Man United. And so does Juventus. So with Juventus, we're yet to know the details of what they spoke about. But with Napoli, there is a possibility of a swap deal, because Napoli has got a situation with an interesting player who you can relate with Marcus Rashford in terms of level. Kvaratskhelia is currently contracted to Napoli until 2027. Napoli were trying to tie him down to a contract extension until 2028. They failed to reach an agreement. It seems he wants to play in the Premier League. It seems that there is a bit of unsettlement between the two parties, between him and the club. And despite Napoli being on a good ride, under Antonio Conte, they've looked more competitive. They are now top of the log, 3 points ahead of Atalanta. They look like this is a season they could be winning the title, the Scudetto again. So you probably think a player who has scored 5 and assisted 3 times in 17 games in Kvaratskhelia would be untouchable. But you see, if the player is not interested in your long-term project, you can as well let go of him. So there is belief that Man United is more valuable than Rashford would be at the moment. So that's why it is Manchester United that then would have to add a little bit of cash to Napoli if they are going to get the Georgian international the other way. So for me, I think it's a deal that could forge a solution for United, because then maybe United then would have to cough maybe cash of not more than 20 million pounds, even if it's 30 million plus Rashford. You're completely letting go of a player earning so much, because I'm sure Kvaratskhelia is a player who Man United would pay about £120,000 per week and they would be okay. So for me, I think it would be a sensible deal to do in case they got into a proper discussion about a possibility of such happening. So that's one of the options that are being tabled. But the thing is, with a hot player like this, you would expect a lot of competition. Now, PSG are in the equation. PSG are looking for a clear solution following the departure. We know for a fact that PSG have never replaced Kylian Mbappe, and we know that Luis Enrique and his 4-3-3 system do need a wide player who is good. Rando Colomwani was never that player. That's why he's linked with a move away on loan. Man United being one of the many clubs interested, though Tottenham are leading in that chase for Colomwani. So they still need a solution to replace Colomwani, who they felt perhaps could have been a solution in terms of feeding the gap Mbappe, but of course he's not. So Kvaratskhelia is a player they're looking at, and it said they are so advanced and so serious in trying to snatch him. The only beauty is, if Man United really feel Kvaratskhelia is a player who would do for them, they can interest him, because it seems Kvaratskhelia would be interested in playing in the Premier League. And the thing is, statements coming about the League One, about PSG and the league they play in, from players like Lima, are not even playing any favors to the league. They are not giving it a good advertisement. I don't think a player who is not really driven by cash would want an opportunity to join Man United and join PSG just because PSG is going to be playing in the Champions League and Man United is currently not. The reality is, Man United will still have a better allure for a top player who is serious than PSG, except those who only want to make money. So I think that's the attitude of this, what looks like would be a bidding war against PSG for one of the hottest players in Italy or in Europe. So that's a critical situation going on. But talking proper about Kvaratskhelia and what he would add to the team, we would ask, this is a winger, where would he fit in the Ruben Amorim team? I think if you've watched Kvaratskhelia, if you've watched his videos, if you watched him play, if you watch Napoli games, he's a winger who works hard, can drop deep and run with his heart, I think, in his hands. Is so strong a player that I believe he can properly play as a number 10, one of the two number 10s in Ruben Amorim's system, or he can even play as a wing back. Because I think the only thing then, if he's going to play as a wing back, the only thing that Ruben Amorim would want to work on him is his ability to track back and support when the United loses the ball. But I think those are things you can work on a player who is 23 and with the work rate that he's shown playing in the Italian Serie A. And of course, a few people will say players from the Italian Serie A do not usually sign, but also add to the goals, because United is struggling to score goals. Currently, Man United has got a goal difference of -5. So you want a player who will not only give you creativity, but also bring you the goals themselves. If in terms of if he's creating chances for the striker who can turn up and score them goals. So I think he's that kind of player who brings an interesting dimension. Of course, now one will ask, between him, Kvaratskhelia, and Victor Osimhen, who then should Man United go for? In the event that United is to negotiate a swap deal with Napoli, between having Marcus Rashford go to Napoli and United pays maybe a little bit more cash and they get one of the two players, which would make sense between Victor Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia? That for me would be the multi-million pounds question, because that's quite debatable. Because you think of Osimhen and you're thinking these are goals coming in, proper goals, nearly definite, and United are struggling with a finisher because of Højlund, who looks to be short of his confidence. But then Kvaratskhelia is a complete proper footballer who will give you goals but also assists. So who then do you go for? If you ask me honestly, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. I would want to pick your mind on it, by the way. I see Gina Lungu saying that Osimhen, Mbeumo, Nico Williams, Dogu, and Douglas Luiz can do Man United miracles. Okay, interesting. Dogu is, of course, no questions about Dogu. I think I agree. Dogu is cheap from Lecce. He's cheap, only 20 million. Really, that's euros, not even pounds. Player Man United can, can go for without even having to worry about financial fair play. I think that's cash Man United can afford to raise. But in terms of a marquee player, because even if United are looking to rebuild, they need to bring in one or two marquee players. And Kvaratskhelia would clearly be a marquee signing for Ruben Amorim. But I posed the question, and I'm saying the swap deal I've explained to you, involving Osimhen and one involving Kvaratskhelia. Which one would you take if you're the one to call that shot? Which one makes better sense for Man United? That's an interesting one. I'll give you my verdict at the tail end of this live. Gina Lungu, thank you for being a part of it. Now, as we pause that will be, there's been talk of Marcus Rashford being linked with a move to Como, and no disrespect to Como, and I think they're doing a commendable job in their first season in the Serie A. I think Sheikh Fabregas is proving that he could be a decent manager. But listen, Rashford cannot leave Man United for Como. It cannot happen. I think there is no talks that have happened. I've tried to contact all my sources. Everyone will tell you this is just a speculated move. They can't, even if they wouldn't be worried about the finances, the player himself wouldn't be excited about joining Como. What is there for him to be excited about? To play into relegation, it wouldn't make sense. He would rather go to Saudi probably and just say, I went there for the money. So I think that's out of it. So the three, if not four clubs that are proper in the deals, and his Rashford's agents are still talking to several clubs about where exactly he can go. But for me, this Napoli talk is quite strong, I honestly think, because Napoli has got players that can make sense for United. So a swap deal would make sense. But so is Juventus, because you talk of players like Vlahovic. These are players that Man United would make use of if it's a swap deal, because United then would be having a striker who is ahead of Rasmus Højlund join the lot. So very interesting stuff there happening with Marcus Rashford. Now there is still more to talk about. Now there's been we know that United certainly United are advanced in their quest to let go of their quest to let go of Casemiro. And it looks highly likely that Casemiro will go to Saudi Arabia, most likely reunite my colleague with whom they won multiple Champions League titles in Cristiano Ronaldo, because Ronaldo is believed to be at the helm of pursuing him and interesting him in the whole Saudi project with Al Nassr. Now, if Casemiro goes, or even should I say when Casemiro goes, because I think it's almost now a question of when, not if he will go. But if Casemiro goes in this January, Man United certainly have got to bring in a quick solution to fill a gap. There will be a gap created that they will need to fill. Now, the thing is, there is a player in Ederson of Atalanta, the Brazilian 25-year-old midfielder, who United has been linked with. And I told you City are looking for a solution to, first of all, find a quick solution for the Rodri gap, because he's going to be out for long. But also, as they do start their transition, because I do know they're in a state of transition. Tiki Bergestein left, new sporting director. Pep Guardiola has 2 years, transitional years, if you ask me, years for him to stabilize the ship before he moves on. So they need to sign players for that as well. So Ederson is looked at as one of those players. And Man City are interested. Man United is interested, definitely. You can imagine Ederson partnering with Manuel Ugarte. Those are two beasts in that middle for Man United. It will be a proper, I think, midfield for United. And then we know Liverpool as well. Liverpool are never too aggressive with their interests, but they certainly get things done in a subtle way. You can recall how they signed McAllister out of nowhere. So they always pick on their players, intentionally, good players, bring them in without making a lot of noise. But the thing with Ederson is Atalanta have come out and categorically stated that they are not willing to let go of him in Jan. So if Ederson is going to move, it's going to be in the summer. So that's one. So that's a bit of a blow to clubs like Man United and Man City that are looking to make to get quick solutions for a season that is still long and young, but certainly getting out of sorts for them. So with Ederson, that's what's happening. But Ederson is a player. He has got a price tag of just about £50 million. That's what. Whichever club that would want to sign him would have to part with. They have to part with £50 million. But the thing with Atalanta now is that they are in what could potentially be a historical season. They are second on the log in the Italian Serie A, 3 points shy of Napoli with a game in hand. So meaning they have an opportunity after their game in hand to go ahead of Napoli on them. Has been part and parcel of anything successful they have done this season. So it's not really easy for a club really to even think about letting go of such an important player at a point in time like this when they're in an unusually potentially successful season. And they believe, because if Inter Milan and AC Milan and Juventus are not the teams that are giving you a run for your money, Atalanta will be looking within themselves and believe they can actually go at it and win this Serie A title. Because Napoli is not your Inter Milan or Juventus or AC Milan. It's not your really traditional giant per se in Italy. I mean, it has won the Scudetto 2 times, but they are not your Inter Milan, AC Milan or Juventus. So if Atalanta are second, you think they have got belief in them, they wouldn't want to disturb what is going on with their season. So that's why it would be difficult to price him out in this January. So unless the player pushed for the transfer himself, which again is unlikely. So it's a very difficult situation for anyone trying to price out this young man, the Brazilian Ederson. But there could be a bidding war for him as well, probably in the summer. And United seem to be one of the clubs very interested in him. So that's what's going on. Daniel Ade, this is a good one. Okay, Afro Soup. Hi, Mr. Webb. First time watching you live. Do you think we will sign a left back this window? Yes, I do strongly believe. There is talk of Nuno Mendes, and I think it's a serious talk. It's not just hearsay. I think Nuno Mendes is one of those players that Ruben Amorim will have shown interest in. We know that it's a long list. Like I told you here before, if you didn't watch that video, it's there, where in your scheming and change the way things are done in terms of transfers. So what do now going forward is, if there is a transfer window and you want players in a particular position, they will list 4 players, and then they discuss them as a team. The CEO, the technical director, the manager himself, now Christopher Vivo, who is also getting himself a serious permanent role in terms of transfers at Man United, because of course of how Ineos are restructuring. So there's going to be a big team that is that is going to look at transfers and try to come up with proper decisions, and of course decide who they sign. So there is a list, and they scrutinize it, and of course make priorities. Who is first, who is second. So if you look at the list of left back, following, there is Nuno Mendes, there is Milos Kakies, there is Anthony Robinson, there is now this boy Patrick Dogu from Lecce. And before they had spoken about Guterres. So there's a list, the 4 are there. There's a list of 4 that United are looking at, and we believe they will sign one of them. It's believed to be Nuno Mendes, who was topping the list, but he's a bit pricey. He signed, he's got, I think, 2 years left on his contract. He's a bit expensive. PSG, have a strong will when it comes to holding on to their players, even if they really don't have a strong interest in using them. They still want good money for their players. You can imagine what they did with Ugarte and United. So he will be an expensive signing, and you're thinking, if it's in Jan, maybe it's not Nuno Mendes, because unless it's on loan, but you don't see Man United getting him on a permanent. Or if it's a swap deal, a flat swap deal. Take Garnacho, for example, give us Nuno Mendes, it's done. We're done, we separate, pay him, we pay our guy, it's done. So there is proper. In fact, I think a left back is one of the first priorities in Jan. I think United will sign a left back this Jan. Probably a left back and a left wing back. A left back and a left wing back. So that's where we are. Proper, I think, Afro Soup, there will be a signing. Emorut Nathan, Alphonso Davies should be the left back. Man United signs Alphonso Davies. It looks, I think, destined to sign a new contract with Bayern. They don't want to let go of him, clearly. They have been trying to tie him down to a contract extension. I think they are making amends on that. I think they will. They seem to be, I think, nearly sure that they will be able to tie him down. So Alphonso Davies might be difficult. But also Alphonso Davies is quite pricey for Man United, Emorut Nathan. Because if United is going to buy Alphonso Davies, I think Bayern could have slapped a price tag of about 70 million euros for him. Is that money United has right now? You think about it, and I think it would be highly speculative for us to believe that United, with all the issues that we know, would first of all sanction, even if they collected the money, would they sanction a 70 million euro signing of a player like that? Yet they can develop, because United is not in a competitive phase. United is in a rebuilding phase. It's a new project that Amorim is working on. So would they sanction a 70 million euros signing really now, when they can get 20 million euro options in Dogu and the likes? I think it would be a difficult one, really. The money is not there. This is not the United under the Glazers that really always had money to spend. I think it's a more culturally innovative United now, because of course, the financial fair play books and everything that they have got to deal with. So, good as he is probably the best left back in the world now. I don't think United have it in them to go all out for Alphonso Davies. I think it's not happening. So that's the reality. Antony has said he's not going to Olympiacos, at least from what we're getting. His team doesn't seem to be excited about the idea of him going to Greece. He doesn't feel that that's where he should be. He probably wants to stay closer to the Premier League and try to make his case. So we are waiting to see him out. We are told before that several Premier League clubs were interested in Antony. Abedkani, Amos, what has come out of the Rashford representative with AC Milan meeting? From my sources is that AC Milan are offering paying half of his wages and taking him on loan for the rest of the season with an option of buying, not an obligation, an option. That's what I've got from my sources. Of course, we will get the confirmed one, but that's what my sources say. That is what AC Milan were suggesting. So we can wait and see what that is. Not that would be a bad deal, but you would want to listen to what Napoli, Juventus, and Borussia Dortmund offer, and you make the best decision. For me, a deal, yes, whereas AC Milan would want to take him on loan and stuff, that shouldn't be the quickest priority. I think for me that should be one in the event that United really fails to get a better deal. But I think a better deal would be a swap deal for me. I want to see United bring a player come in. I want to see United. The issue with United is not just losing players. It's actually who do you bring in. And to bring in, United doesn't have the money. But if you have clubs interested in any of your players, if they have good players, make use of that to corner them into giving you decent players you think can fit into what Amorim is doing. So for me, I would want to listen to a Marcus Rashford deal where United is getting the player the other way, or a club that is coming and paying money, serious money, and having him go proper. If you're not paying full money and you're just taking him on loan, you better take him on loan with a player like Kvaratskhelia or with Osimhen, or at the very worst, Dusan Vlahovic, coming the other way, but not just taking him on loan and that's it, and United still having to pay part of his wages and stuff. It doesn't really, for me, solve it or quite hit it for United. It would work for him probably, but perhaps not for United. Emorut Nathan, is there any team linked to Malaysia? Because I think we need to create squad space and funds. Yes, Juventus were linked to Malaysia, Tyrell Malaysia, because Juventus have got issues with their captain. Juventus have got issues with their captain, because apparently he went and spoke to Napoli, yet they didn't know. Yeah, so apparently Juventus, Douglas Luiz went and spoke to Napoli, their captain, without their knowledge, and this did not augur well with them, because you're the captain of the team. Why on earth are you talking to a rival? Yet we don't have. Why on earth are you talking to a rival? Yet we don't have an agreement with them. We've not given you the green light to do so. So it is said that Juventus are willing to let go of him. That's what he said. They are willing to send him back to the Premier League. So there's Douglas Luiz, and they are willing to let go of, and the captain of Juventus. Luiz is not the captain, I beg your pardon. But there's Douglas Luiz. They are willing to send back to the Serie A, because he hasn't quite hit it in Italy. I think has played only 2 games this season. So they want to send him back. Teams like Tottenham and stuff could be interested. So The plan is, if they can collect some good funds out of Luiz, send him back to the Premier League, and perhaps be able to finance a move either for Joshua Zirkzee, because Juventus are interested in Joshua Zirkzee, but they are also, Juventus also want to get a new left back because they are looking to change direction in terms of their approach. Their captain, whose name is actually skipping my mind, I'm just trying to refresh my mind with the name of the Juventus captain. My brain is just getting stuck. Okay, let me just be refreshed of the name. Danilo, that's the name. Sorry. So Juventus, Danilo, the captain, is the one who spoke to Napoli behind their back. That's the left back. So the plan was Juventus were also looking potential at going for Malaysia as a replacement for Danilo, for their captain Danilo, because he angered them. Because as a captain, how do you go and talk to a rival? We are struggling. The season is struggling. We are rebuilding something new. You're the captain of the project, and you're going behind our backs and talking to a team that is leading the log now. Doesn't make sense. So they said, go if you want. So they want to get a replacement. So Malaysia was reportedly one of those players they were thinking of. But also, we know that is buying him. So that's what's going on. So that's why I say there could be a deal struck between United and Juventus for swap deals, even if it's not really Marcus Rashford, for any other players, because there seems to be interest in certain players from United. Emorud Nathan, so I see Man United embarrassing Arsenal over the weekend. Oh, this one is a given. It's a given. The Arsenal I saw play against Newcastle, if United turns up, not even at the level they were at against Liverpool, even if they're just close to that level, Arsenal, Liverpool game, I certainly know his players will know well not to play or not to mess with him. So I think it's quite a given. We'll talk about that game. We'll preview that game. Towards the weekend, certainly. We'll talk about it more and more. Man United should not continue jumping from one player to another. I'm hearing Dogu, Mendes, Kakies, Itis, all these players should choose one and go for them now before they realize we are desperate and change us. You're right, Amos, but you see, the thing is, it's not a matter of wanting and you get. It's not a matter of you want, you get. Sometimes United, you see, let me give you an example. It's like you're looking to get married, to settle in a relationship, and there are 4 beautiful girls, and they all look attractive from a distance. I don't think you just say, let me go get this one and get married to them. I think it's right. The right approach is for you to first get to know them and then make your choice, because they might look attractive from a distance, but when you get closer, they are not right for you. You feel me? So that's why it's always good to have options. So what Man United is doing, and what clubs always do, is when they have a list of players they're interested in, they will first now get close to the players. Because clubs ask for injury records, a recurring hip problem. Yet from a distance, they were interested in them. Drop that. So council, is that something we can deal with or not? Maybe not. So no, we are not interested in that one. They have to then study the player around, and for United this time they've got to be more careful. They have to study the character of the player off the pitch. Do they have records of drinking? Let's say, are they reckless? What is their behavior like? Their attitude? What do their previous managers of the player say about them? There is a lot that goes into the transfer window that people don't realize. People think transfer window, you just look at a good player, we are going for them. So all this is very, 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 very important. So whereas it's good for you to identify a player and go for them, before you go all out for a player, to first scrutinize them. That's why United were making mistakes before. They were signing wrong profiles of players, and now look where we are. Stuck with players who are not befitting to be called Man United players. So for me, Amos, I have no issues with this. So many. Some of them, of course, are not real. Some of them are agents trying to, test the waters. Some of them are speculations from journalists. Some of them are maybe relatives of these players trying to instigate. Social media today, anyone can break a story. Anyone who thinks I can go and have a whisper with the brother of the cousin of Marcus Rashford, and I come here tell you Marcus Rashford is going to Swansea. and somehow, people will pick up on it. So some of them are not exactly real, but I think for me, they cannot just zero on a player and just go for them. I think it's okay for you to have a pool and select from. Like Man United, these speculations are always going to be there. Thing is, you never know which one is going to come out right. So you ignore them and you go, okay, there was this speculation, I swept it under the carpet, but it happened. So it's very important. So guys, I think that's it. I think I'll be back, of course, with drop a video later on, of course, but we are live as well. If you do understand my local language, Luganda, I've got another channel that speaks Luganda, of course, Ndiba Yoka. I'll be back live at 9:30 on that channel, but on this channel, just subscribe and turn on your notification bell, because there is more news coming through. Just seen, I just want to go and internalize it, and of course make more calls and research about it. I will be back to give you more. Thank you so much. Anolin Aliguma, it's been a minute, brother. Where have you been? Good evening, Web. When do you normally hold your live videos? Thanks for the great analysis. I'm contemplating, I think I'm going to keep it 6 p.m. I'm going to keep it 6 p.m. now going forward from today. Tomorrow I'll be back live 6 p.m. But on the other channel, it's 9:30 p.m. Alfred Sendwe, who are we really linked to? Man United is really linked to Kolomwani. United is linked with Rashford going to either AC Milan or Juventus or Napoli or Borussia Dortmund. Nyabaro, hi Web, I have been following you for some time. Do you think we will get an experienced striker? Not in January. I think they have decided to give time to Hoyland. Try to give him time. Adekani Amos, I understand, but time is running out. What can we do to speed up the exits? That is an interesting one. What can we do to speed up the exits? We can only be patient. My name is Webb. Let me catch you later. Peace, love, and harmony. Cheers. Nansubu